To a doctor's appointment where you were trying to explain many of your symptoms and you felt dismissed, then this is the video for you. You know, there's a sentence that far too many women have heard in the doctor's office, and it kind of does something to you, right? You finally work up the nerve, the courage to set that appointment. You know, you do everything you do, take care of all your priorities to make sure you can actually make it to that appointment. You get in the room and you're telling the doctor about all your symptoms and the things that you've been experiencing. And even before you can like fully get your whole story out, the doctor says, oh, that's probably just stress. Yeah. If you've ever had that experience, or if you've ever been to a doctor's appointment where you were trying to explain many of your symptoms and you felt dismissed, then this is the video for you, okay? Because it's about time that we stop saying, oh, that's just normal, and we actually start having the real conversations about what we experience. And this is not just for women, even though most of my content is made for women. This is for men too, even though I will go through some of the science a little bit later. So if you're new here, I am Dee, aka Granola Revival. And I'm a health coach, I'm a wellness educator, and I'm just a woman living life, but also trying to help others live their lives as well, especially my ladies, okay? So let's do it, okay? The research shows that a lot of women do get dismissed, okay? They get dismissed when they go to the doctor. And it's actually worse than we think. So let's talk about it honestly. And, you know, we're going to get into it right now. So let's start with the first off, the brush off. No, this is not dust your shoulders off. No, this is the real brush off. You probably felt this before, and it makes you sad. It makes you anxious. You're already feeling probably anxious walking into the doctor's office. Okay, like most people, not all the time, but most people, unless it's like a regular checkup, when you go to the doctor, you're going there for a reason, okay? And it could be a reason that has suddenly occurred, or it could be a reason that you've been dealing with and you finally got the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to go. I'm going to set this appointment. And honestly, sometimes it may take a while for you to even get those appointments. So you get there and you're like, yes, I'm ready to tell the doctor. And then you walk in, you start talking, and you feel like, what just happened? Did they even listen to me? Did they hear what I had to say? And these are real things. These are real, true feelings. I've been there before. I have talked to many women who have been there before where they're like, wow, like that experience was uncomfortable. I just did not feel like the doctor was listening at all. And there could be a multitude of reasons as to why you may have felt like the way that you felt when you're there. Obviously, when we go there, we want our attention to be 100% on ourselves, right? And our issues and our problems. And not to make excuses, but we don't always know what's happening with that, you know, with that provider. But I'm here to tell you that even if you felt the brush off, there's things that we can do and that we're going to do to make the situation better. Because it doesn't have to be like that, you know? Okay, it does not have to be like that. You can really get your concerns like met in the right way, okay? And if you felt like you've imagined this, no, because a lot of women have gone through it. So it's not just you. Okay. So let's talk about what we've been trained to believe. Okay. We've been trained to believe, especially as women, like we kind of think like, oh, if it's serious, like they're going to run the test and they're going to find it. But sometimes you need another level of test. Sometimes you need another level of you know, kind of research, okay? And before I go any further, I forgot to mention this, but I am a health coach. I'm a wellness educator. I educate, I do not diagnose, okay? So if you're going through something even right now, and you're like, this doesn't feel right, I need you to make that appointment right now, okay? I just give a general, like, overview, but, like, please go to your professionals, go to your providers, go to your clinicians. Make those appointments, even if it needs to be like an urgent care appointment, an emergency appointment, a double appointment, whatever the case might be, do it. Okay. But I know I'll kind of backtrack now. As women, sometimes we're like, well, you know, I went to the doctor. They ran all the tests. They maybe didn't call me back, but like I logged in onto, you know, my health provider profile, and for the most part, things are normal, but maybe like I'm not sure how to read this test or how to read that test, you know. Well, if nobody called me, then everything must be okay. Not necessarily. Okay, not necessarily. And I'm not saying everything is not okay, but I'm just saying, like, if you need help interpreting even that data, because this has happened to me, where I've gone and I'm like reading the test and I'm like, oh, that number seems a little low. That doesn't seem right. And I'll be honest, I put it into like ChatGPT and I was like, if a person has this number from this to this, what does that mean? And not that ChatGPT is my doctor, because they're not, but they can help me. Or even just Googling something, seeing what the normal ranges are, which normal is relative, obviously, but seeing what those normal ranges are. And then I was like, oh, this is maybe not so good, And so then I was like, I went back to my doctor and I was like, oh no, I messaged my doctor actually for this one test that was like a little bit lower. And actually what happened was, I was in consultation with another provider, another specialty, and they actually noticed. They're like, this is a little bit lower. You might want to like talk to your doctor about this. And so then I messaged my primary care physician, and he was like, well, okay, let's keep an eye on it. So I was like, okay, and so I was happy that the specialty physician was able to say, hey, this number might seem a little too low for what you're asking me to do for you, so let's go back. So they did say, okay, he did kind of say, but originally I was like, are you not looking at the trend? Because the trend has been going down. And that's not a good thing for my primary. Like, the trend has been going down, And so, yeah, I wasn't trying to overreact. Because sometimes I know they say us women, we overreact. We're a little dramatic. No, I wasn't trying to do that, but I also was trying to understand. Seriously understand what is happening in my body, because some of the numbers that I personally was looking at during that time didn't necessarily affect me physically. Okay. And so that's what I want you to remember. That's why it's so important to like understand and know and have these conversations, because some things that you go through, there may not be what you consider physical manifestations of it, but some things may be happening internally. Okay. Or you may be feeling what you may think are physical manifestations, and that's okay too, to have those questions and to bring them up to your provider. Okay. Yeah, so like in a lot of times in research, what you've seen, and I work in research even with my normal job, my day-to-day job, women historically have been less studied than men. It just is what it is. And I can go through even age groups and ethnicities and all that, and it looks very skewed, depending on what they're researching. And so, but even looking at that, women's data and women's research is starting to catch up, but it's still not there yet. And so it's important for us to know that sometimes we need to speak up, because if enough of us speak up, then maybe the research will catch up even more. Okay. So don't feel like, is it only me? Because I'm pretty sure it's not just only you, girl. It's not. Okay. Lady, like, speak up. Don't feel afraid to speak up. Okay. Now I do have some notes here because I was like, let me make sure I get everything. So, we do, as women, tend to be easy patients. We apologize a lot. And sometimes we don't need to. Sometimes we need to speak up. Yes, speak up. Pound the table. Go get a second opinion, a third opinion. And sometimes, I'll be honest, like, especially if you have insurance, you might have to pound the table a little bit harder, or you might have to pay out of pocket. But we only have one life, y'all. One life we're given. So it's worth the extra. It is worth it, because I want you to remain here on this earth. Okay. So for real, I want you to remain. And so if you have to pound the table, if you have to go see and maybe shell out a little extra money, or figure out, get a referral somewhere else, or go to emergency. Sometimes going to emergency, they'll go through the steps for you because they have never seen you before. They'll look at your history and then they'll go through things. I've even been there with relatives where I've taken them to the emergency department, and, I was with one of my relatives, and the ED doctor was amazing. And like, we were there for a long time. I'll be honest, it was a long day. I didn't expect that. But this doctor went through the history and said, well, this looks a little off. This looks a little off for my relative. And they walked out of there with a lot more answers than what they had before. And it probably helped that I was there, not my parent or anything like that. But so I was unfamiliar, but I could ask different questions that maybe my relative could not ask. Because I'm listening to things. I'm not a doctor, once again, but I like science. I like to learn. I don't know everything at all, but I know some things. And so I was like, well, that seems a little off. That number seems a little low. That number seems a little high, whatever the case may be. And so I'm asking questions too, because sometimes you need other people to advocate for you. So that's another thing. If you feel like you can't advocate for yourself, bring somebody along with you. Okay, you don't have to do this by yourself. You do not have to be the savior for everyone, but also try to keep it together for yourself. Hear me. I'm going to say it again. Women especially mothers, caretakers, that sandwich generation. You're trying to take care of your parents, or, older relatives. You're trying to take care of your children. Wives, you're trying to take care of your husbands. And then it's like, what about me? No, you matter. You matter first. What do they say when you board an airplane? Put your mask on first so that you can help others. So that's what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to need you to step up for a moment, be a little selfish, and ask questions for yourself. And if you need to bring help along, but bring the right help. Make sure you're bringing people that are actually going to, speak up for you and not just sit there and listen. But you need people that, some of my people, they be researching. I'm a researcher, okay? So, yes, am I a WebMD, oh, my gosh, I'm going to die tomorrow person? No. But I do look stuff up, because if you go on WebMD here and all some of these things, yeah. So my next point, why does this happen? And this is the research, okay? And this is not all, I went into a little bit about, how women's research has not been the highest within the years, but it's growing, okay? But I'm going to read you now. Hopefully I can find the study, so I'll put it on the screen. But a 2024 study of approximately 21,000 emergency room records in the U.S. and Israel. So this is 2 different countries, okay? Found women were less likely to get pain medication than men, reporting the same pain. And staff were 10% less likely to even record women's pain. Yeah, let that sit for a moment. That doesn't sound great, but it just is what it is, okay? And so that means we have to speak up. We have to be advocates for ourselves. We have to be advocates for our family. And this is not to isolate men and make men feel bad. Not at all. But there are trends, okay? And even if you go to the different races, it gets even worse, okay? I'm not even going to go into that today. Maybe one day I will. But it definitely gets worse for some races than others, where they're not believed in their pain and they're not diagnosed correctly because stuff is just brushed off, okay? So, yeah, this is the best part, okay, we're going to go into how to be heard, okay? So, what you're going to do is you're going to create a toolkit. Create a toolkit for yourself. So, what I want you to do is start to track your symptoms, how you feel, what's happening, when it happens, how often it happens, how long it happens, all of that, okay? And write it down in your phone, somewhere where you can keep up with it, okay? So if you're a paper person, that's perfectly fine with me. You have a notebook or whatever, fine. If you're a phone person, put it in your phone. I don't care what it is, but just keep track of it, okay? Or be able to compile it somehow, okay? And I want you to bring it in, written, typed, whatever. Even a voice note. Some people may work with voice notes, and you just compile the voice notes or whatever. And maybe right before your appointment, you put those voice notes on, you write them down or something, or type them up. And then I want you to have your top 2 to 3 symptoms, okay? And like I said, when they started, how they affected your day, whatever the case. And this could be so many different things that you're dealing with. So I'm not trying to isolate. But just, whatever the case may be. And then lead with function, okay? Lead with function. So this is affecting my ability to work, sleep, parent, live, thrive, energy, because blah, 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 blah. Okay? So why are you not functioning like maybe you used to, okay? And then ask the sister question. And this is mainly for women. I guess if you're a man, you could ask the brother question. But for women, if I were your sister, what would you want ruled out? Yes, I'm not calling this emotional manipulation, but it's close. I'll be honest, it's close. If I was your relative, what would you rule out? If I was your mom, if I was your brother, if I was your cousin, if I was your spouse, if I was your partner, what would you rule out? Okay, I'm not trying to get you to emotionally manipulate that provider, okay? But I do want you to, that'll help them think a little bit further. Like, oh, let me look into this a little bit more, okay? For real, okay. And then ask for a plan and ask them to put it in your chart. Because that's another thing that some studies have shown that, especially for women, when they talk to their provider, it could even be, and I'm not, I love all my medical professionals. I work in healthcare, so this is not a knock on y'all. But it could be a nurse even, or even the intake person. Sometimes when and you may not want to go into everything when you first make your appointment. When you call or you doing it online, you may not want to put all the stuff, all the juicy details, but it's good to put almost everything, because that's gonna raise a flag a little bit more. Okay. But yeah, ask them to put it in your chart. Make sure it's noted. Most providers now, once you leave the hospital, they'll give you an aftercare summary, or something like that, or the care summary. Make sure it's there. If something is missing before you leave, read that thing and make sure they added it, okay? And then have them include any tests and anything else, and why. Anything they chose not to do, and anything they did, and why. Okay? Have them include it all, because it's all important. Because your life matters. We only get one of these. I said it before. We get one life. And so, yeah, you need to know. So in closing, I want you to write it down. Check your symptoms. Write them down. When, why, where, who, whatever. I mean, sometimes it could be who. Because some stuff could be stress, to be honest. It could be that one relative that you're like, here they come again. But most likely it's something else, especially as we age. Stuff changes. Our bodies are getting older, And so we just have to adjust. And maybe we didn't. We thought it was normal before, but we're learning that, oh, maybe this is not normal. Maybe what my cousin said, oh, I just got to, take this Mylanta whenever I get heartburn. Maybe not. Maybe for them, but maybe not for them. Okay. And maybe not for you either. Okay. So yeah. This is what I want you to know. I don't want you to be dismissed when you walk into a room. If you feel dismissed by one provider, ask for another person. Make a new appointment. Whatever you have to do. Okay. You can go on about your day with that person and just you know what? I'm not even going to deal with them. That's fine. But you set another appointment, or you go to another provider, or you go to the emergency room. If it's dire, if you really are feeling like you're having severe things, please go to the emergency, go to urgent care, make your voice be heard, okay? Immediately. And if you need somebody else higher, then ask for that. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're with, if you're with somebody who is maybe newer, ask for somebody with more experience. Or, and they can work together. This is a learning experience even for providers. Okay, they're always learning because everybody is different. Our bodies are dynamic. And so every case is different. So they may not have actually, had something like this happen to them or, seen a case like this before, but somebody else may have. And that's okay. Do not be dismissed. That's what I want you to know. If you took anything out of here, do not be dismissed by a provider, by a doctor. So many people have passed away because they were like, oh, well, that's what my doctor said and I trust them. And yes, there's a level of trust because they have gone through schooling that we have not gone through. But sometimes they miss things. They are human just like anybody else. We're not putting pressure on them. We're not trying to shame them. We're not trying to accuse them. But we're also asking more questions. Yes, we are asking more questions because maybe something really doesn't feel right. And we have that instinct to know, no, this is not normal. So this is from my series, Stop Calling It Normal. Okay. This is a weekly series, and I just bring up health things that aren't normal, but we kind of brush it off as normal. You know, but maybe they're not. Maybe they are. Some things may be normal. You know, as we age, you know, our little bones start to creak and everything like that. But even creaking bones could mean something else is going on, okay? So don't dismiss it. Don't feel dismissed when you walk into the doctor's office. Speak up for yourself. If you don't have the courage to do it, tell a friend, tell a family member, ask them to go with you. Kind of maybe explain some of the things to them, and they'll help you. I promise you. This has been a year. This year has been a year of like caretaking for me that I've never seen before. And I have gone into, like I said earlier, into appointments with other people, and I didn't know everything, but some stuff just like, I was like, I have more questions. This is not my body, but I have more questions. And not just for them, because maybe they couldn't think of it. Because for some people, they've been dealing with stuff, and maybe this is you. You've been dealing with things for so long, and you felt like, oh, this is just how it is. That doesn't have to be how it has to be. We don't always have to. We should not be living in pain forever. You know, we should not be dealing with like low energy all the time. I don't want to go into specifics, but there are things that can help. Now, there are things that are normal during the process. Like say you just had a surgery. There's some things you're going to have to go through, okay? There's steps, there's levels to this, okay? But there's some things, like if you've been dealing with it for a long time, I want you to be brave enough to speak up for yourself today. So make that appointment. Start to track it, write the things down before the appointment comes so you can have a list. And if a doctor doesn't hear you, then go see somebody else. If you need support, get the support, okay? I'm going to close with this. This is something that I kind of hadn't been asking, but I'm going to ask every week. What are you rebuilding right now? What are you rebuilding? So it doesn't have to deal with what we talked about today and doctors not hearing you. But what are you rebuilding right now? And then I want you to share like just a moment, even a stress moment that you're like trying to brush off. You're trying to figure out what's happening with that. Okay? Put in the comments, but let me know what you're rebuilding. And I'll see you next week, okay? I will see you next week. I love you. I may not know you, but I love you because you're here. You're part of this world, and you're special. You're loved. And everything that you're going through, it deserves care, okay? So don't just brush it off. Don't feel like I'm not worthy of that. And even if you don't have insurance, there's ways. There's ways. So I don't want you to feel like money or lack of insurance is a barrier. Okay? Because there are things out there that everybody can get. Okay? So see you next week for Stop Calling It Normal. Okay? If you got something going on, start to track it. Write it down. Make that appointment. And speak up for yourself. All right. See you next week, y'all. Bye.